Welcome to Everything But the Cats, the podcast where we talk about every single thing under the sun. We have started a journey almost, actually by the time this comes out, over 2 years ago and nearly 100 episodes ago to talk about every single thing under the sun except for one specific thing. And now we are talking about still everything. My name's Gage.
I'm DJ.
And today, DJ is going to teach me about something. I know literally nothing about what he's teaching me about, other than the fact that he's the one teaching me. I guess let's go ahead and dive on in.
Yeah, let's do it. So, as always, I like to keep it a bit of a surprise what we're talking about. When do you think this episode is releasing?
This is probably releasing mid-November. Mid-November is safe.
Cool. One of us is not in the country right now, so we're recording little baby archive type things, which is what we call the episodes that we recorded in advance for when I became a father. So we're doing that. I'm not a father though. One of us is not going to be in the country. Anyways, today what we're talking about, how we're broaching the topic of what we're talking about. Oh man. Actually, I'll tell you what. Here's how we're going to start this. Gage, I need you to give me a date. Any date after October 1582. I'll tell you what, we'll say any date after like January 1st, 1600 and like into the future. Like give me one date.
September 11th, 2001.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's all right. That's going to be an easy one to remember. Never forget. My pen is being weird. The driver is not reacting right now. That looks stupid, but that's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I mean, actually, give me a more obscure date. That'll be simpler.
Okay.
Like, we could do your birthday, for instance.
Yeah, March 2nd, 1996.
Yeah. And your social security number?
512.
Why is 2 so hard?
Never seen
Okay.
someone draw a 9 like that.
This thing is being really difficult to me right now. How do you draw a 9? Do you do line then circle?
No, I do circle,
Like full circle, line beside
full
it.
circle line beside it.
Not like, I do kind of a snail
You did a fluid
method.
motion, yeah. Like a 6, but upside down.
Yeah, and starting from a different place than a 6.
Yeah, technically. That's where I start a 6.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not where I start.
So I've got this pulled up because it's a bit simpler this way. And what we're gonna hold on to your birthday.
Okay.
First, no, man, it's tricky. I should have thought through this how I want to do this, because I can either like do the big reveal right now or do it later. Let's talk about the Gregorian calendar. I'm just gonna leave your birthday up on the screen in case anyone wants to try to steal your identity.
Or say happy birthday.
Or say happy birthday in a few months.
I'll be 30.
So the Gregorian calendar, Gage, what do you know about the Gregorian calendar?
That was Pope Gregory the first?
The 13th. So you were just 12 off, which is 12 human lifetimes.
At least.
At least.
Technically, it was 12 papal houseries, papal terms. 12 papal terms at minimum.
Sorry, this thing's giving me a lot of trouble at the moment.
Man, sounds like me with me.
Gregory the 13th. It went into effect in October of 1582. Do you know what it replaced?
Is this the thing where some people believe that there's like 300 added years or something?
No, that's a great idea. Great question. Do you know what it replaced?
No. So the Gregorian calendar replaced whatever the calendar before it was. Was it like a Julius calendar, Caesar?
Yeah, the Julian calendar.
Julian
is what
calendar.
It replaced.
Okay.
The essentially the Caesar calendar. And the big thing that it did was it took a lot more math and a lot more like understanding of the universe, and it used those things. Okay, let me write fast like an idiot. Can you read that, Gage?
Leap years.
Leap years. And the Julian calendar had leap years. I don't know exactly how they worked, but the Gregorian calendar showed up and it revolutionized the way that we handle leap years. And so, I'm Sick and tired of this. I'm very patient though. So let's talk leap years. Gage, how do leap years work?
Yeah, so every 7 years, there's an extra day on the year, or 4 years.
So every 4 years.
And it's because technically the year isn't exactly 365 days, but instead of being weird with the amount of time, hours, or whatever, they just add one day to every fourth year. What's the every seventh year thing? Am I thinking of the year of Jubilee?
You're thinking of the year of Jubilee. That's a Jewish thing, and Gregory was Catholic.
Almost
Uh,
definitely not Jewish.
so,
Decidedly.
so the Julian calendar had a flaw, and the flaw that it had was that it assumed that every year. How long is a year, Gage? If we had an extra day every 4 years.
365 and a quarter days.
Yeah. So the problem with Julian's calendar was that it assumed that every year was 365.25 days long, which is very close to accurate, but it's not quite accurate. And so what happens is if you take just one extra day every 4 years, eventually over time you get more and more and more and more off, because the actual amount is let me write it down here, 365.2422 days. And how the heck do you do the math for that? 365.25 is close, but again, over the course of hundreds, thousands of years, eventually you're going to get off.
Yeah.
And so Gregory came along and he decided to try to get a bit closer. So, no, the wrong button. Just a moment. Kachika. That's what Chick Hicks says, so it's fine. So, like I said, the year is 365.2422 days long. And so Gregory came along, and I don't know how much of a mathematician Gregory himself was, or if it's like his little Catholic minions. I don't know what they call them.
Cardinals.
But they came along and they introduced his little red birds. They introduced a calendar that is 365.2425 days long. So much closer. That's 3/10,000ths of a day off. And so the extra day every 4 years is super like that's one of the key things of it, right? Is that there is that extra day every 4 years. But there are little parts that, because of the specific season of like history that we live in, like the specific century that we just went by, we don't know about, but people in other centuries do know about. If we had gone through like a different century, 25 years ago, we would know this thing, and it'd be like this kind of big special thing. And what that thing is that you do get an extra day every 4 years, except let me write this down. Also, I remember needing to do cursive if I want this to not suck. Except when the year is divisible by 100.
Real quick question. Not question. Statement.
Sure.
The Julian calendar was created by Julius Caesar, right?
Probably.
I think it's astounding that, like, without modern technology and science and stuff like that, he was able to know, and therefore other people of his day were able to know, that a year wasn't exactly 365 days. It was 365.25, even though they were off. That is astounding.
So I do think it gets a bit easier to figure out when you notice like every 2 years noon is happening in the middle of the night, which that's mostly a joke because they're still using sundials. So like honestly, the fact that it's not exactly 365 years doesn't matter. So I agree with you. I was actually correcting myself because I was like, of course they figured it out because noon's in the middle of the night, but they're using sundials. I'm an idiot. It is incredible they were able to figure it out, Gage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Gregory, because this is 1582. Like, obviously the technology is more modern than Caesar's time, slightly. But, yeah, crazy that they were able to figure it out. So, an extra day every 4 years, except when it's divisible by 100. But the year 2000 was a leap year.
So was that the
Because
first leap year where it was divisible by 100?
I don't. So no,
Okay.
because the rule there under this except divisible by 100. So these are two separate rules, right?
Yeah.
Like it's extra every 4 years, and it's not divisible by 100 unless it's divisible. Let me write this down. I won't write divisible because it's a long word. Unless it's divisible by 400, then you do keep the day.
Okay.
So that's why 2000 was a leap year, but 1900 was not. 2100 will not be a leap year. 2104 will be a leap year because it's divisible by 4, but not by 100. So your birth year, 1996, my birth year, 1996, it's a leap year. And then I'm going to make sure that there's not some extra part of it that I'm missing, because there might be a part of it that I'm missing. Because I think this actually generally...
We were born in a leap year. This is my first time hearing that.
So you were born after it. Like you were given extra time to be born in February.
Man.
But you still did not.
By 2 days.
I was born before
I was almost a leap baby.
You were close.
And I was a month premature. I was trying for it.
You were working on it, yeah. Man. Yeah. So that's that. Another interesting thing about the Gregorian calendar. So this is leap years. Do you have any more questions about leap years?
No, I'm still just mind blown about how they figured this out. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have done a whole episode on this, but I didn't. Spoiler for you.
That's fine.
So another thing about the Gregorian calendar is that it restarts. So Cal, that's what I call my Google calendar, but you guys can figure it out. It restarts every 400 years. 400 years is how often it restarts. Listen, I don't know the math behind it. That's the math behind it. Every 400 years, the calendar is identical. So the calendar in 1600 is identical to the calendar in 2000.
Okay.
Obviously, like, probably more celebrity birthdays in 2000, but, like...
Debatable.
Yeah, it's true. So that's, like, the general thing, and then that's the calendar that we have nowadays, where... so I think another... If I'm right, I'm actually going to look into the Julian calendar real quick, because I didn't look into it at all. So the Julian calendar... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... 11, 12, 13. Okay, I don't have enough time to care to learn about the... I do care. This would be a really interesting episode. I don't have enough time right now to learn about the Julian calendar, but I know, if I remember right, like, September used to be the 7th month, for instance, and October was the 8th month, which is why, like, September, and October, and November, and December, like, 7, 8, 9, 10. But then there was a month added for Julius, and a month for Augustus, and so you end up with July and August. And so now September is the 9th month, and, so on and so forth.
Real quick,
they couldn't have just added them at the end.
I did just find a list of 223 people born in 1600.
Okay, now look up 2000. That'd be a fun episode. How are each of those 223 people doing now?
Oh gosh, probably
I have a guess.
Dead.
Probably. The odds are real good.
I would bet a number of them are more alive than I am.
That'll preach. Anyways, it resets every 400 years. So 1600 is identical to 2000, is identical to 2400, so on and so forth. And because of that fact, sorry, let me come over here. With that in mind, go ahead and you can give me your birthday. You can give me any day, just something that's not, like, really big. Give me a day.
Like a date, specific date?
A date. Yeah, it can be your birthday. It can be any other date.
September 11th, 1601.
Okay, go ahead and give me, like, 1700 and after, just to be really safe.
It was exactly for it, yeah. Let's go...
That you're funny.
July 4th, 1776.
Less famous, Gage.
2nd, 1776.
Love it. All right. So 3, 2, 1, 7, 7, 6. Okay. So what I'm going...
I should have said October 11th. I'll get to why later. Continue.
Let's do it. No. Let's do it. So 10, 11. Okay. So now what you're about to watch me do is I have not Googled it. I can't share my screen or anything to prove it. But I'm going to put my hands in the shot. And if I do everything correct in like what feels like an awkwardly long amount of time because I've not practiced this yet, I'm going to tell you what day of the week October 11th, 1776 was. And now I do need you. Let me make sure. I've also got the math pulled up because I haven't done it in a little while. Like I was practicing this a lot like last week, and I've been sick since then. And yeah, so I do have the math pulled up, but I have not looked up the date. So you can look it up. You can tell me what day of the week it was, and I'm going to do some math, and I will let you know what day of the week it was.
Okay.
Sorry, I put one of my hands down. They're both on my head. Sorry, I'm also using my hands to store variables for math.
No, you're good.
I'll do this like actually on I needed the whiteboard so I could like go through the process.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it without the whiteboard first because hopefully you can cut to like me solving it and that'll look cool. Or you can do the whole process. I do not care. People deserve to know the way I am. But anyways, you can fill the air if you want to, and I'm gonna keep doing math, and I'll let you know. I'm muting my mic. I'm not cheating. I don't need to mute it. Never mind. All right.
While you're doing that, I'm going to go on a brief rant. A while back, one of my buddies was asking people for albums that are perfect, like front to back, no skips, just beautiful albums. And one of my friends named Micah, I don't know if you're listening to this, you probably aren't, told me that I should listen to an album called Downtown Battle Mountain 2 by Dance Gavin Dance. This is back in the summer, maybe even late spring, so I listened to it while I'm cleaning. It's a really good album. I had a good time. That was the end of it, or so I thought. About a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was scrolling TikTok and I heard a clip from another Dance Gavin Dance song. And I was like, man, that sounds really, really good, really fun. I should probably listen to some more of their music. And so I decided that what I was going to do is I was going to listen to every single one of their albums from start to finish, going all the way back to 2004 and doing every album from then to today, which is 12 full-length albums. And I started this on Friday. That means I started this 5 days ago, and I'm 9 albums in at this point. But when I finish all 12 of them, I'm going to write a script for a podcast episode detailing each album, detailing all of the lineup changes that they've had and the drama, because the band has a lot of it. October 11th, 1776 was a Friday.
Oh, great. So that's the issue with this process is it involves some math.
You're close. You're off by 2 days.
That's half a week. If I'm off by 2 days, that's a range of most of the week.
That's a third of a week.
There was a guy at Worlds of Fun that would guess your birth date, like guess your birth month. And I'm pretty sure the rule was that like he would be within like 4 months or something like that, which meant he had like a 2/3 chance of guessing it.
Yeah.
Of like getting it right.
That's a horrible rule.
Yeah. I mean, he had to make money somehow.
It's like that scene in that episode of Psych where the guy's like, I'll guess your weight. I'll be, and then he guesses like way high for the girl in front of him. And she gets really upset. And he's like, it's normally off by like 2 to 4 pounds.
That's really funny. You also just have to guess like September, like.
Yeah.
And then.
That's a safe guess.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Not for me, though.
Not for me, though. I mean, I would fall within it. I'm within 4 months. You're safe. You're like the safest.
I know.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to fill the air with before I go through this math and fix me?
Oh, I have more thoughts on Dance Gavin Dance, so.
Sure. So I want you to finish your thoughts, and then I'm going to go through the math on screen.
Oh, no, yeah, that was it. There's going to be an episode coming soon.
Okay.
Soon, probably like February or March.
Sweet. So let me come redeem myself, I guess. That's embarrassing. I was planning on practicing a lot more before this episode, but I didn't. Okay, so in this method, there are a few like magic numbers that you need to memorize. And what a magic number means is it's just like it's a number, like there's a mathematical reason for that number to be the number you have to memorize. But like, if you don't know the mathematical reason, it's just kind of a random number. And so that's all that a magic number means, is that it feels random. It's not, but it feels random. And so you have to memorize like a random number. What we're going to do, because the calendar resets every 400 years, we can split this year, like split this date into blocks. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to kind of along the way process, like, okay, what day of the week was like the beginning of the century? What day of the week was the beginning of the year? What day of the week was the beginning of the month? What day of the week was the day? And for a lot of these, it's actually not technically the beginning of the month. It's like, pretend there's a 0th day of the year or a 0th day of the month.
Okay.
What day of the week was that 0th day? So that then the first is like the next day of the week. Is kind of the idea. And so I'm going to break this down for you, and we'll do it from the biggest to the littlest. So the first thing we're going to do, well, the first thing that we need to understand is that the answer we're going to get from this math is going to be a number from 0 to 6. 0 is Sunday for it. 6 is I'm growing. I forgot cursive. That's my problem. That is a really, really good looking Saturday. 6 is Saturday. And then in between, those are what we've got. A simple way to remember it is 2 is Tuesday. So Tuesday. And then like Thursday, you can be like 4's day. And Friday, 5's day. So they're little tricks. Monday, 1 day. Like easy. So that's like an important thing to know. 0 is Sunday, 6 is Saturday, and the numbers are through there. And so we'll start at the beginning. So we're going to figure out day 0 of 1700. What is that? And now this is one of those things, there's super complicated math that you can do if that's your preference. Alternatively, you can, instead of doing that, I know what I did wrong. That's embarrassing. Okay, that's fine. That's all right. Alternatively, what you can do instead of doing that is you can just know a magic number. And so the magic number for the 1700s is 4, which means day 0 of the 1700. I said 400. That's embarrassing. Day 0, like the 0th day of the year 1700, is a Thursday, which means like January 1st, 1700 is a Friday. Yes, Gage?
How do you know that the magic number for 1700 is 4?
So if I'm really good at this method and I care about this method, I have it memorized. What I did instead, and it's been like a week, I memorized the math to get to it. The math to get to it, let me pull it up here, is complicated. So when you were a kid, I feel like specifically when we were kids, we learned about remainders, like when we were dividing, and then like never again.
Yeah. Like
they came up once, and then we never talked about them ever again. But they're useful here. They're very useful here. And so where you at? I know there's a comment on this Reddit thread. A huge shout out, by the way, this method. So there are 2 methods we're going to talk about. This method is from a guy named Scoutmandan on Reddit. It's the first thing that comes up when you Google, like, how do I learn the calendar, like the day of the week for random dates. And because I was like, I'm bored. I want to learn something. It's a fun party trick when you get it wrong. So that's fun. Sorry, let me find the math here. Okay, that's pretty good math too. Okay, so the math is essentially take the first half of the year of the century. So 17 is your number, and I don't know why this is the math for this. I'm guessing it's just like this is the math that follows the pattern correctly, like one of those. It's not like, yeah, this is just the math that happens to follow the pattern correctly. Someone let me know in the comments why I'm wrong about that. But so you take 17, and the math is, let me put a couple brackets here, 6. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Okay, 6 minus 17, because that's the century. Now this is, are you familiar with the word modulo, Gage?
No.
Okay, essentially, uh, it means that you are going to get like, whoops. It's essentially if you do 6 modulo, if you do 12 modulo 5, what that means is you're going to divide 12 by 5, and the answer is 10 with a remainder of 2. And the answer is the remainder.
Okay.
So 17 modulo 4 is going to be 1 because you get 16, you're left with 1.
Okay.
And so then you've got 6 minus 1 times 2, which is 2, and the answer you're left with is 4. So that's the complicated math that I'm not sure why that's the math. That's the complicated math. If there's a date that like you don't know the magic number for, you
And
can
is
do
it
that.
always modulo 4?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the complicated math. But I was thinking there's a simpler way to do it, and you can essentially take, like, because it repeats every 4 years, you can take the year modulo 4 and then like have the magic number saved away. So like in this instance, 17 modulo 4 is 1, and because it's 1, I know the answer is going to be 4. And you can just kind of do that. Like if you can save the magic numbers, and then that lets you do any century. But that is the math. But the short answer, magic number 1704. The 1700s are 4. There's more complicated math because now we're looking at 76, and there are modulos about. And so, like I said earlier, 1700, the 0th day of it is a Thursday. So that's good to know. First day of it is a Friday. But now we're trying to figure out what the 0th day of 1776 is. And so the answer, the way that we get this is the year. So we'll just split this guy up. The year plus the year divided by 4 mod, or percent like I did earlier, 7, modulo 7. And the reason we're going to modulo 7 in this is because there are 7 days in a week. And so we're just like cutting out like, okay, what day of the week is it? Like we get rid of all the unnecessary weeks. If the number's like 54, we don't need to know that it's 54. If we get rid of like all the 7s, that number is going to end up being a number less than 7, and then that'll still kind of fall within our thing. It just makes the math easier later, is the idea. Do you follow?
Yes, I am still awake enough to follow.
Yeah. Hey, listeners.
You're not putting me to sleep. It's 10:43.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Sorry. Anyway, 76 divided by 4. And it's not 76 divided by 4. It's the floor of 76 divided by 4. So 76 divided by 4, ignore the remainder. Ignore like there's no decimal. It's just whatever it is, ignore the remainder.
Okay.
However, 76 divided by 4 doesn't have a remainder, so we don't have to worry about that. And it's 19.
19.
Yeah, so 76 plus 19. This is where I went wrong earlier. I did the remainder, did this math with the remainder instead of with 19. So it's 76 plus 19, which is 95, modulo 7. And so 70, 84, 91. So 4 is our answer. So for 76, let me clear this out real quick. 4 is what we're looking at. And now we get into the easier ones, which are the month and day. The months, the reason that the math is the way that it is because like each month is a different length. And so you could do the math for this, but it's a lot easier to just remember the magic number. Whatever, like, so in October, essentially it's the first day of October is the same, unless there's a leap year, it's the same as the first day of January of that year. So we're going to add 0. So boom. And then the last thing is the day, because at this point, what we have calculated is the 0th day of 1700. And then what do we need to add to that to get the 0th day of 1776? And then what do we need to add to that to get to the 0th day of October? And now the question is, what do we need to add to that to get to the 11th? And the answer is 11. And so we've got 11. And we're going to add all these numbers and we're going to get 19, and we're going to, because we're trying to get the day of the week, modulo 7, which we've got 14, gives us 5, which is Friday. So that is the math that you can use if you want to impress your friends by getting it wrong. That is the math you can use to figure out what day of the week any given date is in the future, in the past, as long as it's after the Gregorian calendar was introduced, you can figure it out. There is a much simpler method, and I'm just going to go through it really quick because it is 1043 in November. I'm just going to go through it real quick. It's called the Doomsday Method. And the idea, I keep forgetting to do cursive. It's called the Doomsday Method. And the idea is that each year there are a number of dates that always fall on the same date, on the same day of the week. So, for instance, and it's a little tricky with leap years, because you have to, if it's in January, February, you have to like add a day or subtract a day. But on a non-leap year, January 3rd is always going to fall on the same day of the week as, I believe, April 4th and June 6th. And like there's each month in the year, there's like kind of an anchor date that you can remember. And so the goal of the Doomsday Method is you're trying to figure out what day of the week all of these days that always fall on the same date as each other are. So if 10/10 is always the same day of the week as 8/8, if I can find out what day like that day is, I can use the closest one and then do some math to figure out like, okay, here's the day of the week that it was. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the grand overview, and it's a lot easier. It requires a lot more magic numbers, and I'm just going to use a calculator and explain it as we go along. So real quick, give me a date, and I promise this will be much faster.
October 3rd, 1942.
And this was invented by a guy named John Conway in the 1970s. He came up with this method. And so this is a lot of magic numbers, but the first question that we're going to ask is how many times does the number 12 fit as a whole into the last two digits of the year number? So this was 10, 3, 19, 42. So how many times does 12 fit into 42? The answer is 3. So 3. And then the next question is essentially what's the remainder from that math that we just did? And the answer is 6, because it was 36, and so the remainder is 6. Mm-hmm. And huge shout out to timeanddate.com. Actually, let me close you down. No, stop sharing. Let me close you down. Let me pull up this screen, because this will be a lot easier. Appreciate your patience, Gage.
For sure, man. I'm doing great. I'm just tired.
Okay, so timeanddate.com has a wonderful breakdown of this. They explain it in great detail. This is just a calculator that they have to make it simpler. So the first question, like I said, how many times does the number 12 fit as a whole into the last two digits of the year number? And the answer is 3 times. What is the difference between the last two digits? So what's the remainder of that first calculation? The answer is 6. And then how many times does the number 4 fit into that second result? I don't understand this math. It's all magic numbers to me. I understand the idea of the math. It's all magic numbers.
Yeah.
So I think the ads are fighting my ad blocker right now. Like I think they're duking it out.
Yeah, they are. I see ads.
Yeah. Hi, Ryan Reynolds. But I feel like he also keeps disappearing. Anyways, so 4 fits into that number 6 once. So we've got the numbers 3, 6, and 1. And then this question, what's the century's anchor day? Essentially, it's that same idea of the magic number that I talked about earlier. But instead of trying to know like the 0th day of the year, we're trying to know what date was January 3rd of that year, because that's a doomsday. And so these are slightly different than the magic numbers for the other method. They're like 3 days advanced because they're solving for January 3rd instead of January 0. So the answer for the 1900s is Wednesday, which is 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to add up all those results, and we get the number 13. And we're going to modulo 7 again, because we're trying to get rid of the weeks, which is, of course, going to leave us with 6. And that 6 is going, like, that's the doomsday for the year. That means Saturday is, like, January 3rd is a Saturday. October 10th, if I remember right, is a Saturday. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get to the closest one, which is October 10th. And we're going to go back a week, and we're going to see that this date, I think it's October 10th. We're going to see that this date is a Saturday. October 10th is the closest doomsday. Go back a week. October 3rd, 1942 is a Saturday. So this method involves some more magic numbers, but if you just spend a bit of time memorizing, like 12 dates, and there are memory devices for them, and a couple magic numbers, then you can really quickly, unlike me, know what date or what day of the week a given date is. And that, Gage, is what we are talking about today, is just how you can do the math to know what day of the week a given date is. And it's something that anyone can do. It requires, like, anytime I do the complicated version that we did first, I have my left hand over here, like, holding on to variables for me, because it's more numbers than I can store in my head at once.
Okay.
But that's, yeah. So I'll, if I have calculated that the century number is 4, I've got my hand here, like, doing a 4, so that I don't have to think about that, so that I can then, like, okay, I know the year number is a 6. Okay, so now, like, 10. Well, you can modulo it, so like 3. Anyways, that's the method. There's a method to the madness, and the science, or the math, is all focused on, like, okay, let's figure out what day of the week the specific day was, and let's go from there. And anyone can do it. And I would advise, if you're trying to learn from this podcast, go to Reddit or to timeanddate.com, and they will take much better care of you than I possibly can. John Conway was a mathematician. I went to a school that the joke was that we didn't require math. They did require math, like, our freshman year, so we had to take math. You tested out of it, probably.
I did.
Or, like, did you take dual credit?
Yeah, I took college algebra.
Yeah. I didn't take math senior year of high school, so I had to take math for life.
Technically,
anyways,
I didn't have to take it junior or senior year of high school, but I did for the love of the game.
Man. Well, I think, if I remember, I think in junior year, it was like we could have taken the simpler trig class if we wanted to.
Oh, no, I took 2 math classes sophomore year.
Nerd. What did you take sophomore year?
Geometry and Algebra 2, because freshman year I was in Algebra 1 because I did horribly in it 8th grade year. That's not true. I did great in it. I just never turned in the homework. I set the curve on the tests. I just didn't do the homework. And so she was like, you shouldn't take geometry yet. And I was like, I know what I'm doing. No, it was the teacher who we had for literally a year, and our class made her, like, quit.
I had Mrs. Peterson.
Farmer, maybe?
Okay.
She was a math teacher who got pregnant, like, halfway through the school year and was gone forever. Foster took over for her. She came back, and we antagonized her out of being a teacher. Yeah.
Well, friends, thank you for still being here, probably. I know when I listen to a podcast, especially audio only, what I yearn for is math and a guy, like, groaning in frustration when his computer doesn't do what he wants. So I know that I've been satiated, and I hope you have too. As always, Gage is vomiting on the other screen. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. A huge shout out to Adam Ward, Jared Scrother, Jacob Casey, and I don't know, maybe you for writing our next song. Who knows? But thank you to them for writing our intro and outro music. Thank you to everyone who listens all the way through. Again, Garrett, like, if this is your morning thing, sorry, dude. Call your boss when you tell him that you fell asleep. Let him know it's my fault. I'll take your demerit or whatever at work. I'm happy to help. But if this is interesting to you, you're welcome. I do hope it was interesting to at least one of you, because it's really interesting to me. I do think that you can, like, it's a fun party trick if you can get really good at math. My neuroplasticity is gone, so it's probably useless to me now. But if you're younger than me, give it a try. as always, again, thank you so much for listening. Do you have anyone you want to thank or anything you want to say, Gage?
Thank you, Garrett, Caleb, Jake, Hayden, et al.
Mom, yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
you guys, and my mom. She might be listening. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this one too. Yeah. Anyways, as always, if our things aren't enough, if this math isn't enough, if me groaning in frustration is not enough, you can go thank yourselves. I